Good morning and welcome to another edition of Mega Cares. This week's going to be a lot of fun, so just sit back with your coffee and enjoy, because this week I get to interview one of my very, very good friends who I met through one of the jobs I had many years ago at the casino. He has been just about everywhere you can think of, from on YouTube to NBC News to CBS News. He's been doing corporate events, all kinds of fun stuff. How's he do it? What's he do? Well, he started out as a magician, and we're going to talk about that first. And we're going to talk about some of the things he's doing now. And his name is Rich Ferguson. If you don't know, he actually lives here on the Central Coast. He's one of us. He's one of us from right here who enjoys the beaches and the wine and all the good stuff that we do. He goes into the big city, does his stuff, and comes right back to the best place on earth, right here on the Central Coast. Rich, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Good morning, man. And nice to be here with everybody and share a little bit of insight of what I do and why I do it, and be
so
part
excited.
of this cool program. This is neat.
The first moment you walked into my office many years ago, I just felt, number one, a connection, but I was so, and I think I told you the other day, I love magic, because that was your first question. Do you love magic? If you don't love magic, this is going to suck. And I said, I love magic. And I think 2 hours later, you finally left my office. My receptionist was coming in saying, okay, you got things you got to go to.
That's so funny.
Show her a trick. Show her something.
Yeah.
But to see you grow into what you've grown to, that's my phone buzzing, because it's mad at you. You didn't make anything float or anything like that.
Oh, dang.
To see you grow into what you have become and what you've done with your life, the beautiful family that you have, and I know you've got a big respect for that and having your kids with you. First of all, congratulations on all that, because to me, that's what life's about. You know, going out, making a difference in the world, but actually making a difference in your family. And I can tell you've done that, and that's an awesome thing.
Super important to me. I didn't have a traditional childhood. That's for darn sure.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if you know about Sidetracked. There's a award-winning now. It's a multiple award-winning documentary about my career that's going around film festivals around the country right now.
No.
And it just won at the Slow Film Festival.
And it's about you?
And yeah, it's about me. And then it just won a couple weeks ago in Utah, and it's going to be at the Silicon Valley on May 31st up in the Bay Area. So it's going around all over the film festivals this year, and it's just slaying people. People are so shocked by it.
So it's about your story as you grew up and why you got into magic?
Well, kind of how I got into magic and kind of why I do what I do. Yeah,
okay. Give us a little tidbit of that for those people that need to know. And,
it's interesting.
For
me, I just do what I do.
Movie.
I have a set of skills and I just use them for good, and I just do my thing. I don't do the woe is me. I don't look back and have things hold me back. But when I was 32, I shared my story with this nonprofit, and it just opened up a bag of worms. It really did. And but long story short, I didn't learn to read till I was 12. I got luckily adopted at 12 by a family here on the Central Coast. I came from Salinas. I lived on the streets.
Not far from here.
No, not far, but in a bad area, and there's a lot of crime up there. And we had a lot of drug issues and a lot of violence in my childhood, and lots of deaths and lots of jail time. And it was just a mess. And here I am as a apparently white-looking kid whose, dad is like Italian and Mexican. And it's like, I'm about as white as they look, but I'm like, I did not come from some silver spoon family,
Right.
I got adopted into a family who was, kind of very poor, and I had to struggle, and lived out in a ranch in the middle of nowhere, had no friends. And so I went from one extreme of walking the streets and violence and craziness to just pure survival, not knowing how to read, didn't go to school, and then adopted by a nice family, but still now in the boonies on a ranch, with goats and cows and horses. And then I have no social ability. I'm not learning anything. I'm in school, and that's great. I'm catching up and doing my thing. But I'll tell you what, the survival instincts was always there, and that's what got me through that street smarts.
Was it that too when you went to that isolation, if you will? That how do I keep myself entertained? Because you're going to go crazy if you're just sitting there looking at the wall.
I started inventing things. I started building contraptions, and that's what probably prompted me to become a mechanical engineer major in college. And then the kind of critical thinking skills were always there because of the street smarts. And so I was always kind of a step ahead of people. And that's what kind of got me into magic a little bit in my late college days.
What was the moment that you really loved? You not only just the magic alone, but that moment, and who was there when you did that trick and you're like, oh,
so
that
this
was
is fun.
a high.
So
that was a little
about
bit fun.
26 or 27 years old, and I met a hypnotist locally, a hypnotherapist. And he and I started working on a show together to do hypnotism, which is like, like a show for like a fair or stuff like that. And it was my suggestion. And he was like, no, I have to try. My clients have to trust me because I help them quit smoking and stuff like that. And I'm all, dude, you have like a few clients and your rent is huge downtown San Luis Obispo. Why don't we go make thousands of dollars a night doing like hypnosis shows? I'll design all the props. I'll design all the music, the sound effects. I'll do all of it because that was my thing. And he's like, yeah, sure, let's try it. And then we did that together for a little while. And he had to unfortunately move out of the area. Yeah. But that's when I got the bug. I was about 27 years old and I had the bug for entertainment. And I was like, wow, that was my first time ever being in front of a crowd, doing entertainment, talking to people about suggestion in the mind, which I've always had a knack for because of my background.
Yeah.
And so one thing led to another. I discovered hypnosis and I discovered magic at the same time. And when I discovered magic, I didn't know what magic was. I lived in the boonies on a ranch. I had no
Sure.
TV. And I saw David Copperfield when I was in college on TV. And I thought that was cool, but I figured it out just by watching. You know, to me, it was engineering. It wasn't magic. And then I met a sleight of hand artist who worked at a restaurant up in Shell Beach.
Okay.
And he was just impressed by my ability to read people. I mean, people were coming to me all the time throughout my college days, like, wow, you're so good at NLP or you're so good at whatever. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right.
I'm just like doing my thing, you know? And so I realized late in life I had a knack for this type of stuff. And then I discovered magic. And my first trick ever was taking a watch off of a lady at an event. And I did it because I saw a magician do it. I knew of it. And I know all about, you know, high pressure and low pressure and misdirection and all this stuff. I know how to control a person. And so I thought, I'm just going to try it. I didn't read a book. I didn't learn it from a magician. I just knew kind of the general idea. So I went up to this lady and I'm talking to her and I have my hand on her shoulder and I say, here, hold this thing. And I put like a pencil in her hand. Meanwhile, I took her watch off. No big deal. And she went bonkers. The whole table went bonkers. And it was just a event I was hanging out at. I wasn't performing. And I went nuts. My blood, my heart was pounding. And I was like, this is insane. What a rush. And I was like, you know, thank goodness I used my powers for good. And so I got hooked right away. And I instantly started combining my interest in psychology with magic. And I realized right away, it's like, you know, props are not for me, sleight of hand, not so much for me. It's that psychological improv entertainment style that I fell in love with right away. And of course I do some magic tricks and card tricks and coin tricks and money tricks, but really the mode of operation is like, how can I get away with it based on the situation, this person and what's going on? And so that's what drives me is that improv style and reading the situation. And so that's the whole story, you know?
You spoke of one mentor there. Was there any other mentors that really stuck out as you started
honestly,
building
I'll
that?
be honest.
Was all David Copperfield?
No, it wasn't even him. I just happened to see him on TV.
Okay.
I just mentioned that's the only magician.
So that just sparked it.
That was just a magician I saw on TV. But what sparked it was my hypnotist friend locally. That was my first, that's when I fell in love with the art of psychology. It didn't matter if I used it for comedy or for sales or for magic. I was going to use it for something. And magic just was a nice fit. For whatever reason, it was just a fluke, you know?
Yeah. It was a good transponded for it to happen and you to kind of meet people and do things.
Yeah.
So how long did you do that for? How long were you kind of that magician guy before you kind of moved on a little bit?
Well, so that
was the internet that really kind of made that jump for you?
I don't know. I mean, it was 1998 I became a full-time magician. So I've been doing it 21, 22 years or whatever, full-time now, and that's all I've done. And along the way, I've used magic for other things, you know, for different motivational talks and things like that. But it's all magic, really. Yeah. It's all magic. You know?
I always think it's funny when comedians or magicians, and they are fully committed. That's my job. That's my occupation. And when they have to go to somebody and say, well, what do you do? What do you do for a living? So, well, I'm a comedian. I'm a magician. And you want to go, oh, okay, all right. Yeah, and the first thing you want to do, tell me a joke or... show me a trick.
Show me a trick. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. As a magician, it's like, you know, as a guitarist, you walk around, you're like, oh, you're a guitarist. Hey, play me music. No one ever just says, hey, go to work for me. But with a magician, it's funny.
A heart doctor. Would you mind just opening up and show me what you got?
Every single day, if I get introduced to someone that doesn't know me, and then my buddies, oh, no, this is Rich. He's a magician. They're like, oh, you're a magician. Whoa, show me a trick. It's like, hey, how are you doing? How's your wife? Like, any other questions first? No, just show me a trick. So I like to always give them their wallet back. Yeah, it's always nice.
That is a good gesture. Again, you want to use it for the good, not the bad.
It's a good icebreaker.
The dark side.
Yeah, it kind of shuts them up real fast. They're like, okay, I see where I stand with this guy.
Now, for the internet, we talked about the internet. If you haven't yet and gone on to Rich Ferguson's YouTube channel, you can go to Rich Ferguson. Is it richferguson.com?
Yeah, go to richferguson.com. Check out me. You can see some really rad promos on there about body language or my celebrity appearances or my bookings for magic. It's a really great website.
And I'll give you a couple of things because I love the magic. That's awesome. But the editing that you do on that, is that all you doing that too? Because I really enjoy the way it's edited. It's made for me to enjoy.
Which part? The YouTube stuff?
All the YouTube stuff.
Oh, yeah. I actually do all of my own editing. I basically designed my website. I had a guy kind of do the back end of it a little bit because it's a pretty high-end website.
Yeah.
And YouTube, I film and edit most of my own stuff. I create my own stuff. I build all my own props. Every prop you've ever seen in any of my videos I've built.
Your personality definitely comes over in those because and you're very quick. You know, you're not just with your hands and stuff, but when you're talking or you're moving, and you're doing stuff, you've always been very fast at what you're doing, and that's what I enjoy. I love getting into it, and it's like, okay, here's what's going to happen. Here's what I'm going to do to folks. Let's go do it. Yeah. And then you go do it, and I don't have to go through this long big deal, and it's the payoff is really quick and easy.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
So the internet for you, that was probably the first exposure to the world? It was an easy way for you to jump out there?
Yeah, maybe. Let's think about that. So YouTube came along, and I was already on like Jimmy Kimmel and Tonight Show.
So how did you land there?
They had a hand through just people seeing me at private parties. Like Ellen had seen me somewhere, and then she had told her producer, like, we want him on my show.
Yeah.
And so it kind of slowly happened. Once you're on a show like Leno or Ellen, you pretty much are on the fast track. Like all of a sudden, all the other people know of you, and they're like, because they're all watching too.
Sure.
You know, like NBC affiliates are watching other shows, and it's just kind of the game. And once you're in that track, like I don't know how it happened. I got lucky a bit with NBC because I'm a regular on the Today Show and stuff, and something with NBC specifically over the other networks, because I've been on a lot of stuff, but NBC is just, I'm in the Rolodex or something. I guess they can just count on me to do a job. I don't know.
The last one you were on was maybe April Fool's Day?
Last month I was on the Today Show,
Your relationship there, you're so comfortable there. You're almost like from this end, like I'm watching you, and I know watching in the beginning, you know, you almost had that nervous, I'm excited when we first saw you go on, but now you're like walking around the studio, you're taking it over for yourself.
It's kind of weird because I am walking around the studio and hanging out with people and showing them magic or goofing around, and I don't know what it is, but because of the pranky side of the world, especially with Halloween or April Fool's, if I'm on for those days, they kind of need me to do some big stunt.
Yeah.
And usually I help design something. But then we're filming stuff to show later in the segment, like things we did all morning. Well, so I'm walking around the green room doing things.
Yeah, I'm watching you, but then even on my Instagram stories, with whether it's Al or any of them, because I kind of watch them all do their own separate stuff on their Instagrams. They were pulling you for that. You're in there. I'm like, God, he was everywhere this morning. The poor guy couldn't sit there in the green room and just hang out. They were all pulling him over doing stuff. It was so fun to see. It was fun. Yeah, that was more fun than watching the actual segment, because I'm like, look at now they pulled him, and now this kid's got him. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun, man. But the YouTube stuff is interesting. You know, you talk about the internet, which came first. It kind of, something happened. It spawned around 2004. Like things just took off. Something crazy happened. And it all happened at once. There wasn't one
video that went viral.
You know, there was. Here's a funny story. So I made a like surprise prank magic trick for Jay Leno, and it was a thing where I take my head off, and I did it for the Halloween special show for them. No, I take this back. So this is a funny story. I made it for the Today Show.
Okay.
And it had to cancel because there was some issue with the weather. Like the airports were shut down. NBC. Well, they just hopped me on the next show. So so somehow someone at Leno reaches out. Hey, I know you have a Halloween thing prepared. You want to do it first? I said, yeah. Let me finish building it. So I go down and do it for them. Well, I built this thing. I'm like, well, why don't I just film it and throw it on YouTube? Why not? I have a few videos on there already, not for like fans, but for me for promo material. It was just a place to stick junk. That's all it was. It's all it was.
Just an archive.
Yeah. And so I stick stuff on there, and I had probably 30 or 40, 50,000 followers that were saying stuff in some of the comments. And I was like, I don't know what they're talking about. Whatever. I just lived my life.
Yeah, because at that point, who's able to follow that many people?
Yeah, to me, it was nothing. It was just a means to an end. Me to stick a video of a promo for a product on my YouTube channel, which then I can embed it in a blog or my website. It was a great way to do that because then it played everywhere. That's all it was. And then I did this head drop prank. You guys got to go to YouTube, by the way. Go to my YouTube channel. Just type in Rich Ferguson, youtube.com/Rich Ferguson, and go look at the video we're talking about. So this is the one that spawned it. I went to Bubblegum Alley in San Luis Obispo, okay? And I'm standing there, and I'm walking through Bubblegum Alley, and as people come in or around the corner, I literally drop my head off and catch it almost in my lap. My head's gone. And people are freaking out. You have to see the video.
Like, don't you like sneeze or something?
Yeah, something stupid like that. Yeah. And
so I've done a few. You look at them and you just see this person's head fall off.
And I've done a few versions of it now, but back in the day, that was my first video, and it went viral. It got a ton of views.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I didn't care. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. That doesn't necessarily get me bookings. I mean, but my magic is separate from my YouTube fund. That's just,
but you realized it too right then that it went viral.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that's cool. So
now you got this kid who was isolated. Yeah. You know, who now has gone worldwide.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be kind of a weird rush for you.
That was weird. Yeah.
What'd you tell your Would you and your wife talk about that?
That was pre-wife. That was. Well, let me see. That was pre-wife. Okay. Yeah, that was a while ago. And
wow.
Then no, it wasn't. I take that back. We were dating. Yeah, I think, yeah. So we were together, and so I did that at Bubblegum Alley, and then a few months later, and that went viral. Sure. A few months later, I built this chair gag where I'm hidden in a chair, and I've used it for lots of pranks. But I made it for the Today Show. That's why it's orange for the orange room. Yes. So I made it for the Today Show, and I'm like, hey, might as well go film it for YouTube. Why not? Go have some fun with it. Sure. So I did it around Cal Poly and screwed with some college kids a little bit. Guess what? It went viral. Right. I'm like, this is easy. Well, not another video went viral for like 5 years because it's
Oh, you're
not as
kidding
easy
me.
as people think. I mean, my videos have done very well. I've got hundreds of millions of
Right.
views, but like uber viral is like really difficult to pull off. So I kept doing stuff because I had a fan base of a couple 100,000 at that
Sure.
point. And I'm like, oh, they really like this stuff. And I talked to my wife. I said, why don't I just commit to making one video a week, one tutorial, one prank, one
Sure.
social experiment, something just for fun. And that's all I've done
Because
for
there's
like
no
the
real
last.
pay in that, right? I mean,
Well, yeah, there is. I've made
Is
a
it-
few. I've made a lot of money on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah, a lot.
How?
Yeah.
Where does that
Well,
come from?
that's a side. I'll tell you that in just a second.
Okay.
So, long story short, I committed. I talked to my wife. I said, let's just make one video a week, and so I
Mm-hmm.
did. And I've done that for 6 years now, 6 or 7 years now. And that's it. That's what I've done because that's a good formula for YouTube.
Sure.
And that's
And
all
it's
my
enough for you
schedule.
to handle in your schedule.
Yeah, and that's exactly. That's all I
Okay.
can handle. So that's what I'm doing. And on the money side, it's like here's the deal: if you get 1,000 views on YouTube on a video that is monetized, which not all videos are, and not all videos are eligible. That means they have to be ad friendly, family friendly, and all this stuff. They have to meet the policies of YouTube and advertisement policy.
Okay.
And if they do, there's a couple different tiers, and you roughly make about $1 for every 1,000 people that click on your video, roughly.
But how
so
quickly that...
if you get 1 million views, that's about $1,000. Well, you know how many hundreds of millions of views I have on my channel?
Oh my
a lot.
And does
So,
that
yeah.
continue?
And that just
or does
keeps
that
growing.
go for just a certain amount of time?
No, it's like a bookshelf. It's
like
there forever.
residuals. You can
Yeah,
just roll
I'm
and
making
roll and
money
roll.
off. Some of my highest paid videos are still from videos from several years ago.
Oh
Like there's one I did at a gym up in Atascadero called
Yeah.
Give Fitness, and I have this character called Grumpy Grandpa, and it's a prosthetic mask, and it looks even in person, it looks real.
Yeah.
And I walk in with a walker, and I'm going up to people, giving them workout advice that's obnoxious, right?
Sure.
Or I get on the bench and I have some huge beefy guy spot me, and I'm just like pushing up my walker in the air. That's it. And it's hilarious. Well, that video's had like, I don't know, 10 million views, and I've done 3 or 4 versions of it, and they all have tons of views. I'm still making 3 years later hundreds of dollars a month on those videos. It's
How
crazy.
wild. Isn't that crazy? I mean, to think that that's actually a mode of making money. And
Well, here's what you
being
have
able
to think
do that.
about it. So there's advertisement, right?
Yeah.
So look at a show like Ellen DeGeneres,
Yeah.
or the Super Bowl. Let's just use Ellen DeGeneres. She gets about 3 to 7 million viewers per episode, right?
Yeah.
You know how much it costs to have an ad during her show?
No.
A lot.
Yeah, I'm
right?
sure it does.
So
Yeah.
if I'm getting a video that has 10 million views,
Yes,
that's a
then-
lot of eyes.
Yeah.
Why should I make $10 or
That's
$20
right.
or $1,000 or $10,000,
Yeah.
right? So if you look at mere numbers, it's a numbers game. So
Mm-hmm.
people say, "Oh my gosh, how can someone on YouTube make hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions?" Well, because they're getting hundreds of millions of views in advertisement, you know.
Right.
And so that's why it's the typical person. We're talking 99.9999% of YouTubers, people that have a YouTube channel, they're getting 20,000 views
Yeah.
a video after they spend $50 on props and interviewing someone and gas. They're actually
yeah.
not making any money at all.
Right.
The only ones that are making money are people who get
And then,
consistently.
like you said, it's
yeah,
very hard. As much as you think you know the ingredients that go into making it viral,
yeah.
it's really left up to the public what they decide is going to go
And the
viral.
algorithm, and it's complicated. But long story short, so that's the other thing I do. It's kind of a hobby,
Yeah.
and it does make me money, but more importantly, it filters people to my products.
Yeah.
And if I didn't make any money on YouTube, I'd still do it because people buy my apps or my books and maybe book me, or it's just a great way for exposure. You
I'll
know?
never forget my kids. I was downstairs and taking a break from work, and I just cracking up because I always crack up during your videos. And son comes walking. He says, "What the heck are you watching?" Oh, come here and check this out. Showed him, and he had seen you. I think it was on Kimmel, and he said, "Oh, I saw that guy on Kimmel. Yeah, he's a really nice guy." He goes, "You know him?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "He's hilarious." I'm all, "This is nothing. Him in person, such a nice man, such a good guy." So it's really cool to see how much you've kind of made that whole spin around everything, and you're still the same guy I met many years ago, which is just
yeah,
awesome.
I'll be honest, man. I have a few celebrity friends. I have one friend that's kind of uber celebrity, and
Mm-hmm.
and the life is a trip because the people, how they treat you is
Yeah.
different. And I'm not quite at that level, and I don't ever want to be. But it's interesting. Like, you are who you are. Sometimes if you're rich, it just brings out either the good or bad in you. Or
Sure.
if you're a celebrity, it brings out the good or bad in you.
Yeah.
But I think people are who they pretty much are.
Yeah.
And then if something happens where they, if they're lucky and they get successful in a business or whatever it is, they're probably going to donate more
Yeah.
or be greedy
I love
more.
that thought.
You know what I mean?
love that thought.
It's
It
not like-
magnetizes
yeah.
what they already were.
Yeah.
They already were that kind of creepy dude, but
Yeah.
you give
That's
them a
what
bunch
I
of money,
think. That's what I
they're
think,
just bigger.
anyway.
I love it.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's a great way to look at it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now. I mean, you've done the YouTube, and not that you're going to stop doing any of the networks aren't going to stop calling you. Never a TV show was thrown at you.
Yeah, several. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and you
almost,
just-
when
nothing
David
looked right?
Blaine hit the scene, that's when I was really getting heavily into magic. And it was not
Okay.
long after that I was working with a producer and some investors in Las Vegas, and we were looking at a TV show very similar, and that ended up not working out. But then quite a few years later, we're talking about 10 years ago, I started, well, no, less than that, about 7 years ago, roughly, I think. We were looking at doing a combination of magic prank type show, and it was just fantastic. And I got tied up contractually with a hidden camera show that was re-airing, Canon Camera.
Yes.
So that got re-aired, and after many years, the Sun did it, and I got contractually tied up with that, and I had to miss an opportunity, which really sucked because boy, did I miss the boat. All of a sudden, it was the Carbonaro effect and all these shows, and every network had one. And when I went back to these investors to do it, they're like, yeah, well, actually, it's already saturated. You missed the boat a year ago. And I was going to be kind of one of the front runners on this idea because I've been doing that on my YouTube channel pre any of the people doing on these shows. And it's now the hot thing is that pranky show where it's not quite prank, not quite magic, not quite comedy. It's that kind of combination.
Yeah.
And but which is fine because I'm doing it on YouTube and I'm doing my thing. I'm very busy. But that's the only route that I wish I did do, but a lot of the other ones came and went.
Honestly, you take all that out, you're a great host at things, and I can see you hosting and really making things run really well in a show situation, a variety show situation. I mean, not always having to do the magic, not always having to do the tricks. I think you'd be really good at that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I would not turn it down, but at this point with kids, I have 3-year-old twins.
You're like, I like being home.
I'm in the fast track of being a dad. Seriously, that's what I got to focus on,
That is awesome.
I really do.
Talk to us about what's happening now. You're doing a little bit more of the corporate side now, huh?
Yeah, well, luckily for me, because of just getting into magic and entertainment late, I realized early on I didn't really want to do farmers markets and school plays, or I didn't want to be in that realm or work restaurants for free to get exposure or clubs or cruises. That sounds crazy, right? I didn't want to do theaters. What? That sounds crazy, right? No, I wanted to hop right into where is the easiest work, the most pay, and the most respect. And also, number one, who's going to see me and be in an event who also can get my card and then in turn also hire me? Corporate events. That's it. If I go to like some local company party, it's great. However, the people that see me, the 300, the 200, the 100, none of them can afford me because they don't have big parties. Only the people hiring for the company party typically are going to hire me. So long story short, I was about 29 when I kind of had that epiphany because I started magic so late. I was 28 years old. I realized it's going to be high-end private parties and high-end corporate events. That's it. And that's all I've always wanted to do. And I've done a few things besides that, of course, because you have to make ends meet. But the last 15 years, that's all I've really done. And since I had a toe in the water of corporate events and trade shows and retreats and seminars and kind of high-end stuff, I've seen these speakers and I've seen these experts they bring in, and I've always admired that. And I thought, man, these guys make some bank. Here I am charging a few $1,000s to do some magic at some event. They fly me in, all expenses paid. I thought I was living the high life. And you look over at these speakers who are speaking on anything from finances to relationships to investment to whatever. These guys are making $500,000 to $100,000 an appearance. And I'm like, this is nuts.
45-minute speech.
Yeah, it's nuts, right?
Yeah.
And not that I wanted to just have that. I was like realizing over the years that, now I'm turning 50 next year. I have a lot of experience and I have a lot of my own kind of interpretation of body language and influence and how to play that game. And I've had to fine tune it with my magic and my mentalism. So long story short, a few years ago, I put together a program on body language and influence for sales and for people who I could actually help. And kind of, magicians are known for not sharing their secrets. And it's the opposite. The approach is I'm going to share every secret I have when it pertains to strategy and influence and NLP and observing people and reading people and building your strategy and helping yourself and helping others. And that's what I'm really good at when it comes to mentalism. It's like I had this epiphany. I was like, why am I not sharing this information? And those two kind of, my observation of those speakers and then my passion for what I do kind of collided. And that's what I'm focused on now, more than the magic. I do the magic, but having magic as a tool to get your attention, to make a program fun, and to use as an analogy during the program so the program's digestible, because I'm telling you, 2.5 hours of learning about influence and the strategy of influence is very hard. And then I make it fun, and now you walk away stoked, and you remember it, and that's what's so fun.
You walk away from those things. I've been at them, and you're like, I wish the guy would have lit his hair on fire. And you actually do, which is
right. Exactly. Yeah.
You make something happen at stage. And I'm awake, and now I'm listening, and I'm following along.
And I make it interactive, and it's really a fun journey, man. So I'm stoked that I've had the ability to have the childhood I had, which is crazy. Most people wouldn't want that on anyone, but it gave me the skill set that I couldn't have had otherwise.
It built you,
And then I discovered the magic and fine-tuned my skills and kind of observed on how it really works, which you and I talked about off air a little bit. But there's a strategy to it, man. There really is.
Sure.
It's an art form, and I've been able to figure out a way to make that digestible to the typical person, and it's really exciting.
Right. And it really breaks down. It's funny, you can use it for manipulation. You can use it for... But really, just to better communicate. Let's live in a world where we're able to communicate with each other. And although I may see you're angry, well, don't use that and say, hey, look, let's loosen up. I don't mean to make you angry. I can see that made you upset or whatever, And I think the common person can use that just to communicate better.
Yeah, it's good for relationships. It's good for sales. It's good for magic. It's good for being a crook. I mean, it's good for anything if that's what your motive is or your goal. But if your goal is,
if they're going to be that person, they're going to be that person.
But the typical person who's out there busting their butt trying to get ends to meet so they can take care of their family, the typical person, which we all forget about. We keep seeing these things on TV, the extreme, this is the biggest crook or this person's the biggest liar. It's like the typical person is such a good person. They just want to get by. They want to pay their rent or their mortgage. They want to take care of their family and themselves, and they want to connect with people. They want to do a good job. They want to sell a product and not screw you over. They want you to be happy with the product, and that's it. And it's like, how can you sell better? And it's like these techniques are good for that. And that's why I do it.
So a book may be coming out with this?
Yeah, probably in about a year. About a year, because it's a big book. I'm already working on it. It's a big book.
I'd imagine so. I mean, to be able to put that down and write down, get it all really out of your brain and onto paper is
But the program's done. And I'm excited about it, man. I mean, you've known me a long time, and I do magic, but to not jump ship completely, but still be able to do my magic, which I love, but to have a program, I don't know if people heard this part, but I have a 2.5 hour long lecture or seminar that's perfect for company retreats and stuff that talks about influence and then the strategy of body language, because there is a strategy to it.
Well, I think as we age too, we learn what we really want to be doing. I was watching yesterday a Kid Rock on a podcast, and they were asking him why he was kind of slipping into country, and he says, look, I can't be bouncing around stage all that. I'm 45, 46 years old. I can't be doing that all the time. It doesn't matter what you do, the repetitivity of it or even the boredom of doing it. When you do a trick and you've done it a gazillion times, you get that shock of that person, but it's the same old trick, It
can be, and that's, I think, speaking on that, which is interesting, I had a conversation with a magician about this the other day, is because I rely on improv and I use psychological techniques to make the tricks work. Every single time I do what looks to be the same trick, how I get to the end result, if I want to get a card in your pocket, let's say, how I get it there might have 15 ways, and I might come up with a new one based on this situation today, and that keeps me on my toes. It also makes me exhausted, but it keeps it fresher, because you're right. The typical magician or comedian, it's the same exact act, word for word, step by step, day in and day out, and that is gnarly.
I've never seen that with you. Never.
I don't know how they can do that. I've seen it on cruises and theaters and stuff, and that's hard.
Heck, you see it at rodeos, just like the rodeo clowns. It's like the same joke. They don't even change it day to day. It's it's tough. I don't know how they. I like being fresh, but you're right. It's a lot of work, and it takes more out of you to be able to be thinking. Your brain's working a lot more.
But then they also have to put a lot of work into trying to make it look fresh. Like charisma. They got to keep it up and make it look like this is brand new, just today for you. And I've never said this joke before.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. I know you got upset at Zeke. Zeke handles booking our shows. For these who don't know, he's kind of new at it, and I gave him a list of people. This is who I want. In the first 6 months, we're redoing the new show, and you were top of the list. And I loved seeing him get to you. And I said, and he came and goes, it's not going to happen. It's
That's
not
so funny.
We're not going to make it happen. This guy's too big. We can't have somebody like this. I said, keep going. And she's a good guy. I knew if you knew it was me, instantly you're cool, it's fine, we'll book it wherever we can. But I wanted him to get to that. He needed to earn that.
That's funny.
Yeah,
good
it's
for
really
you.
cool.
Y'all do you have a minute?
Yeah.
So I got to tell you guys a story. So I get reached out, I think phone or email, and it's like, I get reached out all the time to do collaborations or whatever. And this person says, anyway, I have a radio show, it's not too far from you, and which I'm stoked to do. But I didn't have I didn't know the demographics of the show. I didn't know the style of the show. I didn't know for sure what it was. I was very familiar with the radio station and the 97.1 and all that kind of stuff, but I wasn't sure what the show was about. And then I didn't know who the DJ was, all this stuff, because it all matters to me a little bit.
Yes, it does.
And then, long story short, I agreed to do it because I wanted to, it's something, I like the theme of it. That actually is what resonated with me. Is it's just not just like, let's just have a person on. It's about talking about the community or people or people's passion and all this stuff. And I thought that was really cool. And then I walk in the door literally a half an hour ago and I see Tony. I'm like, why didn't you just start with that? Why didn't you just say, Tony wants you on? I would have just said, yeah, let's do it today.
Well, I appreciate it. It shows what kind of guy you are. You're that guy that will do this, go above and beyond and still be that kid from the Central Coast. Salinas, you're still our guy here. It doesn't matter where you go. I totally enjoy seeing you. So please keep doing the Today Show, because for me, it's that connection that the world is a small place. Everybody really is connected within those 3 or 4, and you don't know who knows anybody. It's all about just being good to each other and treating each other really well. And you've always done that, and I appreciate that very much.
Well, you have too, man. You've been a really good stand-up guy, and you gave me a break or a chance at the casino to have a little fun. And That was probably the first time I met Jay Leno, coincidentally. I don't know if you know that. That's the
a
first
wild
time I
night.
met him.
Really?
And we were backstage, and he was like, I don't like magic. It was shoved down my throat, early on in the days. But he's like, but I love good magic. and he's like, and it was funny. We had a good talk about that. And just by coincidence through NBC, I got put back in touch with him years and years later. But you were the first reason I had ever met him.
He's such a great guy.
Very
He really
great guy.
is.
Very
Yeah.
great.
Through my whole time, people have asked me by far who's your favorite, and I always name him.
Yeah.
I said, just always true, genuine, hard worker, just a good guy. So
Very good. I took my wife backstage to meet him down
Did
south
you?
one time after I did an appearance. And he comes out when I first arrived in the front of the studio. He comes out and he goes, "Oh, hey, you're from up in San Luis Obispo, right?"
Isn't it
And
crazy?
he totally knew.
Oh, he captured
That's
it. I tell
incredible.
people his head's that big because his
Yeah.
brain's that big.
Yeah.
He just takes it, puts it in a file, and he can pull that out. I mean, that
incredible.
guy's just amazing. Rich Ferguson, check him out, richferguson.com, or go to his YouTube channel. I would imagine that just Rich Ferguson, write that in too.
My channel is Trick Central, but
Trick
it's actually
Central, okay.
it's youtube.com/Rich Ferguson. It's Trick Central with Rich Ferguson.
Awesome.
Because I host it, and it's a great show. Check
You
it
guys
out.
will go down a wormhole, but it's well worth
Yeah,
it.
you'll waste your day.
It will be worth it.
Do it
Trust
at work.
me. Yes. Do it at work when you're bored. Yeah, I think it'll be really fun. All right. Thank you so much for coming in. I
Thank you,
appreciate
man.
it. Wish you much luck and blessings, man.
Cool. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
You
And
too.
thank you guys for tuning in again. We'll catch you next week with another great, fun person right from the Central Coast, right here on Mega 97.1 and Mega Cares.